In 2016, pea weevils were found in pea seed crops in Wairarapa. All pea crops were destroyed and growing was banned in what became a successful attempt to eradicate the pest. In the years following the outbreak, MPI funded trials run by the Foundation for Arable Research seeking alternative viable crops. Durum Wheat was identified as a promising option. FAR's General Manager of Business Operations, Ivan Laurie, is an agronomist with 2 decades of experience growing durum wheat in Argentina.
Probably this one looks quite good. Back in 2016, we became involved with a project to obviously mitigate the effects of a ban on growing peas in the Wairarapa. As part of that process, we realized that there were limited amount of crops that growers had as options in the region because peas were actually one of the most profitable ones. So we started a project with the Sustainable Farming Fund then called Alternative Crops for the Wairarapa, where we planted a whole series of crops, legume crops, cereal crops, and vegetable seed crops, and just looked at what the options could be other than what was already being grown that would work here. And so as a result of that project, durum wheat emerged as a promising one, and probably because of the climatic characteristics we have here in this region, those warmer, drier summers suit durum quite well, and so we've had good quality results. The current cultivar of wheat that we're using is Farina, which is quite an old variety, about 20 years old. It really does the job and the quality has surprised us, but what we're looking at the moment is to select for a more intense yellow color or amber color of that grain that gets conveyed through into the pasta. So we are collaborating with Plant and Food Research and their breeding program at Lincoln, who have been doing some pre-selection and given us some 16 lines here which they are running in this trial, comparing that to the standard Farina, and at harvest time we'll be able to pick these grains and select for color and performance adaptation to this region.
Wairarapa Farm's 460 hectares, roughly 200 hectares irrigated, the rest dry land. We grow a mixture of crops. We go milling wheat, feed wheat, durum wheat, malting barley, feed barley, peas for seed, ryegrass seed, red clover seed, and a bit of yellow flower brassica for seed. And then we finish lambs over the winter, and we run a few bulls as well. So when the peas were banned, we were growing about, it was the mid 30 odd hectares a year. So it was a significant part of our operation, roughly $40,000 a year. We were worse off when the ban was introduced. Part of the alternative cropping strategy, durum wheat had the most promise because of the market availability. I think big market in Wellington and even the local bakers. Because the durum is a lower yielding wheat, we do need a premium of probably roughly 40% above a milling wheat. And also there's a lower recovery in terms of, we're getting about just over 73% flour for every tonne of wheat that goes in. So there's slightly higher losses there, hence why the premium is needed as well.
We try to support as local as possible. All our flour comes from New Zealand, and to have wheat growing, say, 2 kilometres down the road from where we are, it was so exciting when the guys came in and said, hey, look, we've got this wheat to try, are you keen to give it a nudge? And so yeah, took it on, played around with it a fair bit, and come up with our breed that we've got now. So yeah, really exciting. Every time we tip the dough out onto the bench, the guys that are working it off and the girls that are working it off, oh, this just feels so nice compared to the regular wheat that we're working with. It's probably our favourite dough to shape and to mould. It's just super silky and really, really smooth. It's responsive to your touch and it's got really good strength, so it makes a really nice loaf.
Durum wheat is quite an ancient grain, what people would call as a predecessor of what modern wheats are today. It's a tetraploid instead of a hexaploid, so it's slightly different in its genetic composition, but it is a wheat, and if you looked at it, you probably would think it's wheat. But the grain is of an amber color. It's quite translucent, and that's what conveys the yellow hue to the semolina and the durum flour that we use for our pasta. We are trying to find out what the market and the scope for this product might be in a New Zealand consumer market. That's the initial stage. We hope to grow it further to maybe have some export type products as well. We are in the middle of an SFFF funded project by MPI, which is helping us find out more about the market and the consumer insights. So part of the project has been doing a lot of surveys with urban consumers, trying to find out what they want about pasta. A second part of that project has been to work with Lincoln University AERU to give us some insights onto what a new value chain might look like and what the participation of each player in that value chain might be.
We've been trialing for a few months. They've been sending us a few samples to try, and this I think it's got good potential. It's just the milling that need to be adjusted a bit. This, for example, is Durum Wheat milled in Italy, and this is milled here. So obviously look a little bit different. I think there will be a big potential. Yeah, I think be a long walk, but I think with all parties working together, I think there is a big potential.